This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on this, well, it's past Father's Day now. Where my guest is, it's the 19th. Where I am, it's the 20th. Because we're after midnight here right now, here in Fredericton and New Brunswick. But so glad, just had a great shift at the hospital working, very busy. And my reward at the end of the night, I get to talk to the gentleman I got on the show tonight. So this is awesome. Folks, last year American Pop celebrated its 40th anniversary. And I've been very fortunate to have Ralph Bakshi on the show here twice, to celebrate Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic and all sorts of other films, including American Pop. Well, thanks to Tommy Kovac from Splat from the Past, he gave a recommendation to me to reach out to my guest tonight, Mr. Ron Thompson. How do you do, Ron?
Hello, Canada. How you doing, old buddy?
Yeah. Oh, not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. A lot of people don't know where I'm located in New Brunswick because I'm 4 hours ahead of you, not 3. So I'm an hour ahead of New York. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we're starting to feel summer here. About time,
We are too. I'm in LA.
Yeah. How is the COVID situation where you are right now? Are things opening up? Because things are definitely opening up here.
Well, they open up and everybody gets sick, and then they close it down, and then they open it up and everybody gets sick, and and it's nutty because it just there's people that just refuse to get the vaccination. They refuse to wear a mask. I don't know what they think. I don't know where their heads are at. But it's just it seems like it's going to go on forever. I don't know. It seems like this is the deal, man. From now on.
Yeah. No, I got both my vaccination. I haven't got a booster. I've never been asked for it, but
I got 2 boosters.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 2, and there's a third one that I haven't gotten, but yeah, I got 2.
No, I haven't been asked to. I did get the first 2. Didn't get a booster, just wasn't asked, but we are masked up at the hospital, of course, but at the malls and places like that, we're not masked up, and I feel all right when I go out. I haven't had COVID, so but if somebody wants me to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask, so I'm not gonna put up a fight over that. So yeah, life's too short,
Yeah, I wear a mask whenever I go out. No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I have it on. I got it,
Yeah. Well, you came highly recommended by Tommy Kovac, of course. Yeah, you were a guest on his show. Yeah, I was just on his show recently, and I'm trying to get him to get on Zoom. I used to do these by phone, and when our station went into lockdown, I had no way of doing these. And it was actually one of my guests out of Los Angeles, actually, Nancy McLaughlin. She was in Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. She suggested Zoom. Yep. And one of my guests out of London, Carrie Yates, who was involved in a film I'm involved with called 13 Fanboy, she got me hooked up to Zoom because had it not been for her offering, I'd be sitting here not knowing what to do. So kudos to Carrie Yates. And
yeah, really.
I still do my show at the station, but when I do my interviews, it's kind of nice. I don't have to call the station to see if Studio B is available for me to, because there's other programmers there. This, I could just do it here at the apartment.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But before we get into American pop, I would like to get some of your background because I know you're into music and you've done some voice work and some acting. Um, Talk about your upbringing, what brought you there.
Well, I grew up in Miami,
Mhm.
and many decades ago, and I was always interested in performing. I could sing as a little boy, and this was back in the 40s, and my parents got me into dancing class, and I didn't do much dancing, but I, they they used me as singing because they would do these little kiddie shows, and so I did that, and but I was always, when I go to the movies, I always wanted to be an actor, and then at 13 years old, I saw Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront, and
Great movie.
he turned me out, man. He turned me out. I left that. I said, that's the deal, man. That's what I want to do. There had never, ever been a movie like On the Waterfront before. You know, Elia Kazan, the director, Brando was just like, before him, the actors were, some were better than others, but basically they said their words and didn't bump into nothing as far as, you know, except for maybe Jimmy Cagney, maybe about five of them that was really good, but Brando was like something else altogether. And every actor in the movie was great, all the way to the extras. The extras were
Mhm.
great, and I said, that's it, that's the deal. And luckily, in my junior high school and my high school, they had a drama class. Now they didn't teach you anything about acting or anything, but they let you. But we did plays, and I did a lot of plays, and I taught myself. I would go to the movies, and I would read books, and I mean, there's there's a scene in American Pop where I'm doing I'm walking in a cornfield and listening to Janis Joplin singing "Summertime."
Mhm.
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, one of the things I did to teach myself how to act, I would buy uh, 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 soundtracks from movies,
Yeah.
and I would play them, and I would just allow them to move me, and I would just make up little scenes from this, from listening to that. And later on, 20 years later or so, that's what I was doing in the movie. I was doing exactly what I was doing at 15 years old in my bedroom. And anyway, when I graduated high school, I felt I was ready, and I had $200 and a lot of macho believing in myself, and I went to New York City. Now, $200 today is like maybe 2,000, but that still ain't a lot of money to go to New York when you don't know anybody. And but I went there, and it was the best time of my life. I you know, as I said, I grew up in Miami, and it was a Jim Crow, and I had nobody to relate to, none at all. I had about two different people that I could really talk to about anything, and I got to New York, and suddenly I was meeting people, and I could talk, I could be myself, and all. I was just really happy. And 2 years later, I had a guest starring role working opposite Robert Duvall and on live television, a show called Armstrong Circle Theater. Live television, you know what it is. A lot of people Well, don't. That means no tape. We rehearsed it for 5 days and we did it, man. And whatever happened, happened. You know, there was an actor on that show that was drunk. You know, uh, and I mean things like that would happen. But that was my very first professional job as an actor, was that show, Armstrong Circle, and I did one right after that too. And at the same time, I had a record career. Uh, uh, I had a couple of records out. Uh, they were good records, but we didn't have any kind of promotion or anything, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and I really didn't. I really didn't care about being a singer. I could sing; I was pretty good, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I was just, you know, I was a young, good-looking kid, and I thought, well, whatever, just to get me over, I guess. But after a while, the records business kind of, I just got tired of it and kept on, and my acting career started to happen, you know.
Did you feel that doing acting was a better way of expressing yourself than doing music and singing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I got a movie because of my little bit of acting that I was doing at the time, and the record deal. I got a movie playing a pop singer. Uh, I was starring opposite a British actor that won an Oscar named Hugh Griffith. You know who that
Okay.
is?
Yep. Yep.
And it was shot in Dubrovnik, Yugoslavia.
Hmm.
And I had one of the leads, and I sang 3 songs in it. And the movie sucked eggs. It really wasn't very good, and nothing really happened with it. The best thing about the movie actually was the songs that I did. Uh, but you know, I had a lot of what you'd call start. Oh, the cops are after me. Hold on a minute. They're gone. They're gone. They don't know where I live. Uh, I had a lot of starts and stops with my career where things, it would seem like something big was going to happen and then nothing happened. And it just, I just kind of loped along for 9 years until I got a play in which I had a terrific role in. The play was called No Place to Be Somebody. The play won the Pulitzer Prize, the New York Drama Critics Award, the Theater World Award, a couple other awards. And I got some really nice reviews. And finally, my career started to take off. We did it in New York for a year and a half, and then I went on the road with it. And I ended up in Hollywood, and then things started to happen there. You know, and I did a lot of TV and films and stuff, and you know, in when was it? 75? I forget when. I forget when it was that I actually auditioned for America Pop. But yeah.
I've had Ralph Bakshi on the show here twice. I remember reaching out to him, and at the time he was trying to get the last days of Coney Island made, and that was not working out. And then he canceled the interview, and I was heartbroken. And but I had something in the back of my mind because I knew the following year Fritz the Cat was going to be celebrating its anniversary.
Uh-huh.
So in 2017, bright and early, I reached out to him about this. And and I remember his response, you know, he goes, well, okay, let's do this, or something like this. But I did my research on and I not just on him, but on Fritz the Cat and some of his other films. And when I did that interview, it was one of my proudest moments because at the end of the interview, he said he's been interviewed by a lot of people, but he said this was one of the best interviews he ever done. And I was so touched to hear that, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because there were places in that interview, like I could tell, and I'm not trying to pat myself in the back, but he said I asked the right questions, you know, like I brought up the Bo Diddley song with the crow, you know, I brought up the pool balls turning into blood and this and that, and he loved that, you know. And he loved the fact that I wasn't just doing an interview, I really knew his work, you know.
yeah,
And yeah, and he come on the following year for the anniversary for Heavy Traffic, and he enjoyed that. And he was go come on again, but it never came into fruition. I don't know why, but I also know, you know, he's getting up there in his age. I think he's what, 39 now.
he's a year older than me,
I
but
look at it this way.
but he looks every bit of it.
Here's the thing. I'm not you know, I got him on twice. That was more than I could have ever have hoped for. They're two of my favorite interviews I ever done. So, and he was very complimentary. Maybe he's just not up to doing interviews anymore, you know. But I'm honored I had him twice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep. And so anyway, I love his work, and there seems to be two sides to Bakshi. You got one side you like your Fritz the Cat, your Heavy Traffic, American Pop, Hey Good Looking, and then the other side you got like your Lord of the Rings, Wizards, Fire and Ice, stuff like that.
yeah,
And there seems to be those two different, and both sides are great. I'm more on the side of Fritz the Cat and American Pop because they're more my sense of humor, you know.
hmm
But I think Ralph Bakshi was a terrific animator. Plus, I love the fact that he worked against the grain of the system. You know, it was like Fritz the Cat came out the year I was born, so that film's 50 years old this year. I'm going to turn 50 on July 8th. So I'm as old as that cat is. Well, from the film version, not the crumb version, I guess.
no,
But talk about meeting your first meeting with Ralph Bakshi, and had you seen his earlier films from that, like Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic and such?
yeah. I saw Heavy Traffic.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only one that I had. Well, no, I'll take that back. I did. Then I saw Coonskin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, now I mentioned No Place to Be Somebody. No Place to Be Somebody was written by Charles Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who that is? Charles
I
Gordon played uh, uh, um, shit. What's the There's Burr Rabbit, which was played by Phil Thomas, and what was the other?
I'll bring it up here. Just a minute here, Ralph Bakshi, because I got American Pop brought up here. So uh, Coonskin. Yeah, he said he did not like the title Coonskin either. He said that was not his idea for the title of that film. That's one thing he did mention. Um, okay, voices. Because Philip Thomas was Rabbit. Barry White, Brother Bear. Charles Gordon was Preacher Fox.
Okay, Charles Gordon.
Okay, Crothers was as Old Man Bone, and additional voices. Danny Reese as Mario the Clown. Buddy Douglas as referee. Jim Morm as the Mine. Al Lewis as the Godfather. Richard Paul as Sonny. Frank DeCova as Manigan and / Ruby. Ralph Bakshi, of course, as cop with the megaphone. Theodore Wilson and Scatman Crothers as minstrels, and Jesse Wells as Marigold and / Miss America. Yeah, I loved her sequences in that.
Yeah, so I had Phil Thomas and Charles Gordon were my friends, so I knew a little bit about him, and I was brought in for a small role for one of Frankie's band members.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there was about 4 of us. He brought about 4 of us actors in at the same time and we each had maybe 1 or 2 lines to say, okay? And so I read my line, and he stopped me. He said, who are you? And I told him who I was. And he turned to the producer. He said, I want him to read for Pete. And so he gave me the sides for Pete. Pete, by the way, only has 1 scene of actual dialogue. And I went in and I read it. I came back out and I said, Pizza Man, we deliver. He said, you got it. That's it. I had the part. And by the way, you know that the film is rotoscoped, right? You're
mm-hmm.
aware.
Yep.
Because you've mentioned voices a couple of times, and American Pop has nothing to do with voices. And anyway, so he had all the actors. I wasn't doing Tony yet. I was just doing Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And he had all the actors come in and do a piece, and it was a test. We didn't know what it was, but we were being tested, and he had the set and everything, and I did my part. And he had a guy, I don't know what the guy's name is, who was playing Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And about a week or so later, Ralph called me in. He said, the guy playing Tony, he's a good actor, but I don't think he really understands what we're doing with this. He said, do you think you could play Pete and Tony? I said, yeah, I can play Frankie too, you know. So anyway, that's how that happened, you know. That Ralph is very unorthodox in what he does, and so if I may, I want to talk. Some people to this day don't really know. They think it's a voiceover. They don't really know that what they're looking at is a tracing.
I know what you're saying, because I had Tony Basil on here, and I think she was part of Hey Good Looking. I think that was the one where her and I can't remember the group she was involved with, but they were animated over top too, kind of like Waking Life and what Richard Linklater would do later on, you know. So I understand exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, you know, but yeah, go into that in detail, please.
Yeah. We shot the film on a sound stage.
Mm-hmm.
It was shot in black and white because they were going to color it in later. We had our costumes. We had minimal set. If we had to go into a door, there was a door there, but there was no wall. If we needed a couch, there was a couch there, but that was it. And that movie was shot and edited. The entire movie was edited. Then each frame, how many, I can't, it's a lot of frames per second. I forget what it is, but each frame of the movie per second is blown up into a photograph. This is back when we actually had animators, not computers. And they took that photograph, they traced the actor, and then drew the background in because there was no background, and colored it. And what you finally see is not just a voice, but you see an exact tracing of the actor's physical and emotional performance.
Amazing.
It is. It took them 2 years to do it.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
Just to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, the story for American pop involves, of course, 5 generations, but not just generations. It's the music along the way, you know? What's your favorite kind of music?
I would say 60s and 70s.
Nice. I was born in the 70s, the disco era, but you know what? I love all kinds of music.
Yeah.
Love all kinds of music. And you mentioned soundtracks. So many movies really heighten, especially nostalgic way. I went and saw the movie Everybody Wants Some back in 2016. I went to see it 9 times.
What was it?
Called Everybody Wants Some. It
Mm-hmm.
was Richard Linklater's follow-up to Dazed and Confused. And the reason I kept going back is because the sound, because it's set, because Dazed and Confused was set in 1976. This one here was set in 1980. And the music just brought me back because I grew up when it starts with My Sharona, ends with Good Times Roll by the Cars, and all kinds of great stuff in between. And nostalgia is a big thing. Like if I can take him back and still get drawn into the movie, you've got me, you know. And there's so many movies that work so well that way. And American pop does it a little different though, because through the generations you get the different music, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And like it starts out, you know, you got the jazz music and the jazz and blues, and you get you get Jefferson airplane music there, with which, you know, it sums up the 60s nice there, you know. And you got the 70s with disco, and I like disco, and I love the 80s. I heard some Pat Benatar in there, love Pat Benatar. And so many of you had the Sex Pistols in there somewhere too, like your punk music. And it's like Ralph Bakshi really, and he's always done stuff with all of his movies, you know, but this one here, it wasn't just the narrative, it was what accompanied the narrative. It was the music that, you know, you have a few of these generations that died.
Yeah.
The music kept progressing
Right.
and progressing. And I love that shot where the guy goes, let me play my song, you know? And
Right.
he wins them over. And I love the climax, I gotta say. Great stuff, you
Yeah.
know, great stuff.
Yeah.
So when you were working with Bakshi, was that his idea too? Just going up through the generations of music, was that something that he was trying to uh express with this film?
Yeah, yeah, that was already in the script.
Yeah.
That was a script. I mean, we did a lot of improvisation, but that was basically the script. You know, uh, he he allowed me to just. I had he trusted me, and he anything I wanted to do, I could do. And if I like the little boy Eric that played Pete as a little boy, you know. Uh, and if you remember, he finally he starts taking care of me as Tony. He kind of takes care of me, and he becomes you start to see the older Pete coming through on him, and uh, I said, Ralph, I want him to wear my glasses. I give him my glasses to wear, my sunglasses. And I said, let me teach. And I taught him to pimp walk. And Ralph he didn't give a shit. You know, it seemed like a good idea to him. And I'm playing Tony, so I don't really see what he's doing until I see the movie. And wow, man, here I am. I'm all messed up, and he's bopping down the street with these sunglasses and looking bad, and he's like 10 years old, man, you know. And it was a really good experience, you know. It was,
I
yeah,
love that moment too when you can sense that Tony is coming to an end, and you got that shot where they're on the street and Tony is kind of asleep and he's laying across Pete's lap, and you
right,
got this big guy coming by, and you looking like he's going to try to mug them, and Pete, little Pete, just kind of flicks this knife, and the
right.
guy just like Pete is now becoming the adult, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah. It, yeah, that was interesting when I saw that, you know. It's interesting because Pete really he was the real survivor of this movie.
uh-huh, yeah,
Yep, because you see all the hardships and what happened, whether they were, you know, you had one that was playing the piano there in the middle of the World War and got shot by the Nazi, you know,
right.
and then you get ones that are gone by drugs, you know. But I loved it with Pete. He was like, you know what? I'm having my you got all your drugs. I'm tired of being used. You're gonna listen to my song. You're gonna play one of my songs. That was a great moment.
Yeah, yeah,
That was great. You know, it's like, you know, I'm tired of this. It's my turn. I've suffered long enough, you know. That's so triumphant. I love that, you know. Did
you know
you huh?
you know who the band is in the recording studio?
Oh, I did know off the top of my head. You know what? I gotta look that up because I
Fear.
know huh?
It's Fear.
Fear. You know what? It's funny because they did some music in Class of 1984, which is one of my favorite movie. Lee Ving is part of that. Yeah. Yep. Um, yeah, Fear. I am familiar with Fear. It wasn't coming to me. Talk about working with them.
They were. I'm not into punk rock or anything like that.
Hmm.
I, first of all, you know how old I was when I did that movie? I was like about 37 years old when I did that movie.
Well, you're 39 now.
Well, you know, it is. And you're 4 hours older than me. But I was not into punk rock. I didn't have any idea who they were, but they were very nice guys, and they were very humble and everything. I had no idea who they were. It wasn't until after I did the movie that I started to hear about them and all, and like some of the crazy shit that they were doing. But I had no idea who they were. You know?
Lee Ving was in Get Crazy, which he did after this movie. He had a wild role in it, but I interviewed Alan Arkish, the director of that film, and said that Lee Ving was pretty much up for anything, you know. And but I like the Ramones a lot for punk rock, but Ramones were very humorous, you know, because punk rock always has this reputation of being violent, give or take. You know, the Ramones were never that, but I love the fact that Bakchi kind of went through all the different styles of music.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, who did you like playing best, Tony or Pete?
Uh, well, Tony's a better role. Tony, I really feel like, but I liked them both. I really did. I was, but I'm more proud of Tony because it's more. There's more of an arc to his character, you know. But yeah,
So, do you have a favorite instrument?
I don't play an instrument.
Oh, you don't play an instrument. I thought, okay, so you were just a singer. You didn't play any. Okay,
No, no.
okay, all right.
I
That's
look
just a.
like I play it.
You know what? That's a bad assumption on my part because I always think singers can play an instrument. You know,
Yeah,
so okay, all right. So, were you at the premiere for the movie when it came out?
I was.
What was that like?
Well, the first of all, they changed. They changed the. They made the billing at the very at the first of the movie. It says featuring the performances of Ron Thompson. At the end, it said voices.
Okay, yep.
That was not good for me. Anyway, the the trailers that Columbia was promoting. This is back in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
They were promoting all this music. They weren't letting people know too much about the story. Kids, do you know anything about Hollywood Boulevard? And have you ever been there?
I've never been there. No.
Well, this was at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. It's a very famous theater
Mm-hmm.
on Hollywood Boulevard. The kids were lined up all the way around the block to a block to an area called Franklin. Anybody that is listening to this that lives in Hollywood knows that's a long way to be lined up to see a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So all these kids, they thought they were going to be seeing like an MTV video, just a bunch of music. Their drugs could not handle the story at all. They did not dig the movie. The movie got some good reviews, but nobody came to see it. It was a real, for me, it was a real downer because people felt all I was a voiceover anyway. And the movie was a bomb. And I did a few other things. I did a movie for Eddie Olmos, a small but good part in American Me, and a few things. But my career started to just go into the toilet. And American Pop was just, it was just history to me. I wasn't even, it wasn't, it didn't happen. It just did. All the work that I did, the two characters, everything, it was a bomb. It didn't happen. And in the late 90s, for the first time in my adult life, I stopped acting. I just stopped. I just said, fuck it, because I won awards, man. I did all kind of things, and suddenly I wasn't getting any auditions for nothing. And the two best performances I ever did, I was invisible. Even if they did happen to see it and like it, what a good voiceover I did, you know. And for 10 years, I just did like jobs just to keep me from being homeless. I wasn't looking for another career because I knew that someday I'd be an actor again, but I just was really sick of it. I didn't have an agent. I wasn't trying to, and I had no money. A friend of mine gave me his old computer, and another friend taught me how to get on Facebook. And this was 2010. Within a week, Greg, people from all over the world contacted me, from France, Italy, Canada, America. Everybody's contacting me saying, man, we've been looking for you. Turns out that it had become a cult classic because of cable, and the DVDs were finally out and everything. And it was and I didn't know. I didn't have a computer. I had no idea what was going on with it. And these were all young kids who knew what rotoscoping was. So they knew that I wasn't just a voice. They knew that what they were looking at was a performance, a tracing of a performance. Mm-hmm. And two of these guys separately were young filmmakers. And they have since wrote leading roles for me in movies. I have one movie out. It's been out since 2018. It was on Amazon Prime for a couple of years, and now it's on tubitv.com. This is it. It's called Cargo.
Okay, yeah.
Cargo. And it's a pretty good little film. I'm the only actor in the movie. There's other actors, but they're voiceovers. I am held hostage in a cargo container with nothing but a phone to come up with $10 million in 24 hours. Or they have my wife someplace, they kill her and they leave me to die in that. And it's pretty good. I did 6 other movies with a really talented young man, and none of them as of yet have been released, but they will be and something really big is happening from these movies right now. I can't really tell you about it because I'm superstitious about that. Until it's a done deal, you know, I don't want people to know, mm-hmm. but it's 96% definite. Something that's like the best opportunity I've had in decades. And so all of this has happened after it being a dead issue, becoming a cult classic, and now I have a new acting career again. You know, but that's the deal.
You know what's interesting is what happens to movies. Like, I've told the story before. In 1998, the highest grossing film was Armageddon, which I didn't care for. That and Deep Impact were pretty much a Xerox of each other. One of my favorite movies of the year, probably my favorite movie of the year, was The Big Lebowski.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I saw The Big Lebowski in the theater, and I also saw Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas the same year, and that was a flop. What's interesting is that people aren't talking about Armageddon or Deep Impact, but The Big Lebowski is now got this huge following. It's made a whole new career for Jeff Bridges, who's really embraced it. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I have since seen at a packed midnight screening. But a lot of people, they don't go to these at the theater because of the way the marketing is. And 1999, same thing. All the rage was uh, Star Wars Episode One: The Phantom Menace, which was compared to the earlier films a letdown. But yet, a film I saw that year was called Office Space. Brilliant comedy, wasn't advertised well, but has since gotten a huge cult following. I find it interesting how movies go from being little seen to being a major stamp in pop culture.
Yeah,
Napoleon Dynamite is another prime example. Clerks, movies like that that weren't your top 10 at the box office, but they're now featuring the actors and directors at the cons.
yeah,
And yeah, American Pop, that has happened to it as well, because it had something to offer, be even beyond the narrative, the music and whatnot. It had something more to offer. I'm not surprised that it's catching on now, and thanks to the internet and social media, a lot more stuff is gaining a second life.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Have you ever gotten to do the conventions?
Oh, you mean like the signing things?
Yeah.
I did one, but it was everybody everybody that was there said, that this was like not a good one. There wasn't a lot of people there
Hmm.
or nothing, and I enjoyed it just to do it, but I didn't make any money from it.
Hmm.
It was mainly it was a lot of uh, 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 TV stars from the '80s were there, like Morgan Fairchilds and different people like that, and but I did it, and you know, but I know I have other friends that have done them. Oh, and the thing is, I remember there was about 4 or 5 different guys that came with they each one of them had like 4 or 5 American pop posters from me to, and they said we can't. Each one of them they weren't together. There was different guys, and each one pretty much said, "I came to see you. I'm here to see you." And they had me sign. I guess they sell them on eBay or something. But that was fun, and yeah. So I did one, but I don't know. It was kind of a bust as far as because I know other people that have done them and made a lot of money, but nobody was making any money that day.
You,
Nobody.
what I tell people, um, a lot of people do not like it when I've never sold a single autograph I've got. I've still got every autograph I have. What I tell people is personalize the autograph. Ask them their name, sign their name on it, and if they don't want their name signed on it, they're going to try to sell it. And I some celebrities don't care, but others do. Me personally, I don't think I'd want somebody not that anybody want my autograph, but I don't think I'd want somebody selling my signature and making a profit off it, you know?
I don't
So
care. Yeah,
yeah. Well, well, you're a better man than me, you know?
I don't care.
But
I knew what they were doing. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
I did a play, and somebody saw a program from the play that, and this was back in the early '70s,
Mhm.
and with my signature, all the cast signatures on it, and they were selling it on eBay. I don't even remember. I don't even remember ever signing it, but obviously I did. But you know, I don't care.
What's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign? Anything that stands out?
No,
No?
no.
Well, let's talk about the last days of Coney Island because that reunited you with Ralph Bakshi, you know?
Yeah, it. It didn't work out. You know, first he contacted me and he wanted me to play uh, the lead, and then he got in touch with Matthew. What's his name? What the hell? He's like a famous actor, Matthew Modine.
Broadway? Oh, Boudin. Okay.
And Matthew had contacted Ralph and said, "I want to be a part of this," and he had a lot of, I guess, big Twitter account and stuff, and he thought that he could come up with a lot of money for Ralph, and so, you know, Ralph is, you know, he's creative, but he's also kind of into the money too. But anyway, so then he told me that Matthew was going to do the lead, and then uh, he had me. He had a bunch of us come in to do. This was going to be actual voiceovers. It was not rotoscope. It was voiceover, and we all met at this recording studio. And well, I'm not going to talk about that. Matthew didn't work out. I'm not going to talk about him. But
Okay.
and then Ralph contacted me and he said he wanted me to come to New Mexico to do the voices for the dwarf, and then at the last minute he said, "Don't do it. I got somebody. I got a real dwarf to play the part," and I don't know. Anyway, I ended up just doing a couple of little voices for the cops. You know, it was okay. I got uh, Rick Rick Singer was there. Rick Singer played. You talked about the. He played my father in
Mm-hmm.
the piano player that gets shot by the Nazis, and he
Mm-hmm.
was. And so it was a nice day, but you know, it wasn't anything that I to write home about. You know,
Was there any other of your work that like your career? I'm looking at Wikipedia here, you know, and there's some of these I'm familiar with and some of these I'm not. You know, like the No Mercy Man and the White Buffalo I'm familiar with, you know. Death Ring is a new one to me.
no, that was a piece. That's a piece of crap. It's just a,
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll take your word on that.
that was a paycheck.
Brown Eye Evil Eye, that's the first one listed. Was that your first film?
Yeah, that's the one I did in Yugoslavia.
Okay. 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 So
I did,
huh?
did a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, from far back as Mannix and Ironside, streets of San Francisco. And I ended up with a reoccurring role on Beretta. I was
Yes.
on Beretta for about a year and a half, and that was a really good experience. And, did a few films. Uh, American Me was people people say I used to live in an area of LA called Canoga Park, and there was
Hmm.
a lot of Mexican Americans that lived there, and I discovered that they had seen this movie like 5 or 6 times, man. It was like their Godfather, you know. And I remember I went to some fair where they had different booths and stuff, and I walked by this young man who was selling different artwork that he was doing. He was selling, and he hollered at me. He said, "American Me," and I couldn't believe it because I'm very good in the role, and it's an important part of the movie, but it's not a big part. Uh, and for him to know who I was, and this was I don't know, maybe 10 years after I had done the movie, and then we talked a while, and when I left, he said, I said, "Thank you, man. I really appreciate it." He said, "That's what you said in the movie," and he was right. I went to one night. I was going to a liquor store near where I lived at the time, and there was about four cholos, young gang, looked like gang members, standing in, kind of blocking the door. They had tattoos from their head to their toe, and they were just talking, four of them. And I walked in between them into the liquor store, and one of the guys said, "Hey," I turned around, "American Me, right?" I mean, at first I pissed in my pants, you know. He said, "Hey," oh shit, you know, what is this? And it turned out I'm like a hero to him.
You also, speaking of television, I grew up with The Greatest American Hero and Cagney and Lacey. What was your experiences like on those?
Cagney and Lacey, I didn't have a very big part in that.
Hmm.
Uh, I had a Greatest American Hero. It was a very different role than I usually played. I played a deputy sheriff, and it was about Keenan Wynn. You remember
Yep.
Keenan?
Yeah, he was in The Great Race. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Keenan Wynn uh, saw the Greatest American Hero doing some kind of flying around or doing something, and it blew his mind. He told people, and they thought he was like nuts, and they put him in a cell, you know, to cool out. And I played a real nasty kind of cop who came in to bring him food, and I talked really nasty to him. And then when I left, the Greatest American Hero shows up, and you know, he's telling him it's all right. You know, he's trying to do. I'm real. You know, because Keenan don't even know. He thinks he's losing his mind because Greatest American Hero just kind of evaporated in front of him, and I came and he said, he knocked on the door and call for me. He says, "Watch this," and he disappears. And I came in, and I'm really pissed off with what he wants. And suddenly, the Greatest American Hero is like invisible, and he starts messing with me. He starts punching me and stuff, and he pantses me, and I'm like freaking out. And I finally leave, and he did it all just so that Keeney Wynn knows that he's not losing his mind. But that was what it was. You know, it was okay. It was interesting. The director of that was the first director I worked on for Beretta. That's a whole story in itself.
Mm-hmm.
As I was cast in a really good role. It was not a big role, but a really good role as a junkie and a homeless junkie. And I had this scene with Robert Blake, and the scene went really well. Now back up, I had done a play a few years prior with Henry Fonda and Jane Alexander and Gloria Graham and Strother Martin. You know who that is.
Oh yeah, Cool Hand Luke.
What we got here is a failure to communicate. Well, we became real good friends, Strother and I.
Mm-hmm.
And Strother was a real good friend of Robert Blake's. And I told him I was going to be doing the show. And I told him what I was going to play. So the week after I did the play, did the show, Strother and Robert went fishing. And Strother said, a friend of mine did your show. He said, what did he play? And he told him, he said, he played the junk. That was him? Oh, he was really good. No kidding. Oh, it's your friend, huh? 2 days later, Universal calls me and says, Robert Blake wants to meet me. I come to Universal and I meet him. He says, I've been thinking about having a young guy be my sidekick on the show. And so we want to try you out and do that. And the first show I did was that week. I used my own clothes and I wasn't even in the script. We just kind of ad-libbed something. And then the next week they wrote my role. And I did it for about a year and a half. And that just, you know, you got to be able to bring it, but who you know helps an awful lot.
So do you have any charities that you are involved with that you want to plug and promote on here that you're passionate about?
I have no charities, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own, you know, I like to think of myself as an activist for
Mm-hmm.
minorities, and also I've become very political in my
Mm-hmm.
old age, but I don't have any actual charities to plug. Yeah.
Okay. You get a website or anything like that you want to plug on here where people can reach you?
Yeah. I got a website that it's Ron Thompson. What is it? RonThompsonActor.com.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. RonThompsonActor.com. And it's pretty good. Pretty good. There's bios and videos and pictures from everything I've ever done, just about, and even uh, some of my musical stuff. And it's a pretty good little website. I'm kind of proud of it. And again, I want to plug Cargo
Yep.
on TubiTV.com. It's a free app. It's free. They break it up into and show commercials on it, but they do it really pretty good, you know. And I would like right now. That's what I got going. I got this other thing that's floating around that hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be an actuality of something really, really, really good. When it happens, I'll let you know about it. You know, you may
Sure.
have me back because it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. It's like the, the best deal that's happened to me in 20, 30 years. You know, it's really pretty exciting. So that's that. Yeah.
Oh, I'd gladly have you back. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing some other credits up there, but I don't dare mention them because I imagine they're the ones you're referring to that you're tight-lipped about right now.
No, there's nothing on there. No, I'm not talking about it. It's just so there's nothing on the credits about it. So go ahead, you can ask me.
Oh, okay, because you got Natasha Hall on here and Tellers and Gina.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, well, Natasha Hall actually does have something to do with what I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't forgot to do. And Tellers, some of these are the movies that I did for this guy Joe Black.
Mm-hmm.
Really good movies that have not yet been released. Tellers is being kind of held up in litigation. There's something going on with that that's holding up that. But yeah, some of those movies are things that I did for him. Yeah, and none of them have been released yet, but they're really good movies.
Okay. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to plug and promote on here before we
I don't think so. I can't think of anything else. You know, it's really good talking to you. You know,
mm-hmm.
you're much different than most of the. You don't do a then I wrote and then you did this and then you did that. You know, you join in on the conversation. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciated Tommy Kovac recommending me. I didn't know he had done that until you responded to me, so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he knew. Well, he said he knew that you'd have a good experience with me, and I was because he asked me. He said, "Have you had anybody from American Pop besides Ralph Bakshi?" And I said, "No, but I'm open to it." And that was when he suggested you.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, so yeah, that was great. Your website, can people order autographed items on there?
I guess I don't really haven't done it, but
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully, maybe they'll get you out to one of the cons, and maybe they can get Ralph Bakshi out to one of those too. You guys could sit at one of those tables.
Yeah, the one I did, they had Muse Small who played Frankie. She was there also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The American Pop was certainly something different, and Roboscope is something that you still see. Like I said, Richard Linklater did it with Scanners Darkly and Waking Life, and others still continue. It's a very interesting way of filming something.
Well, they do it now with computers,
Yeah.
and they put stuff pin. I don't know what they do with it. You know, to, it's a different process, but
Hmm.
I know Avatar
Avatar. Yep.
that was rotoscoped.
Hmm.
Yeah, um, but it's a whole. It's Pop was very realistic, and
Yep.
you just I have a photograph on my website of me dressed as Tony
Hmm.
live, and a picture of Tony, and me as Pete live, and Pete is animation, and there's no arguing about it. Once you see those two, you see that it's definitely a tracing.
Absolutely. That'd be something you could sell at a convention if you ever get back to one. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I had that printed up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know what? It's great to see that American Pop's got the second wind and second life, and
Yeah.
that people are now seeing it and checking it out. And I certainly think Bakshi was way ahead of his time. I think,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I interviewed him, it's like he was in many ways inspired stuff like South Park, Sausage Party, movies like that, where, and I like it when a filmmaker just, I shouldn't say break the rules, but tries to do something that isn't so obvious, I like that, so yeah, kudos to him.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, you know what? Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure.
Yeah. Just state your name. And when you state your name, mention the two parts you play in American Pop.
Okay.
And say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay.
You got that?
Say my name. Tony. I played Tony and Pete in American Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And and I say that. What else?
You're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. Yeah.
Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Hi, I'm Ron Thompson. I played Tony and Pete in American Pop, and you are now listening to Greg Gilbert in Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. Folks, check out American Pop and check out Ron Thompson. Great guy. We'll have you back. Let's say next year. I'm going to put you on my roster for next year. And then we'll see what the updates are, and then we'll talk about those films in more detail.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Well, God bless you. Thank you for allowing me the honor of having you on my show.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. You enjoy that California weather, because I know that when us Canadians come there and are and because I love it when I hear what you guys consider cold weather, we consider shorts and t-shirt weather.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, in LA is, we have no winter.
Yeah, I've heard guests from California say they know when a Canadian shows up because they underdress for what you guys overdress for.
Really?
Oh, thank you so much, Ron, for coming
Thank you,
on
sir.
here.
Thank
You
you,
have
sir.
yourself a blessed day.
Okay, let me know when this is going to be on.
Yes, and I'll send you the link, and you can put it up when that happens.
Terrific. Later,
All
Gator.
right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.